Texas is facing off against Kentucky this week.
Yeah, man.
All right, B-Ross. Obviously, Kentucky's been a feisty team to teams in the past. They kept Georgia close this year. They kept Georgia close, it feels like every year. Or so they kept Ole Miss close this year. So what are your initial thoughts on the Kentucky game? And then what are your keys to success for Texas to win this game versus a pretty scrappy Kentucky football team?
We have to start fast. And I know that hasn't been a thing for us, but like starting fast right now is pivotal just because of how this team plays. This team is hanging their head on them being tougher, more physical, and wearing you out as the game goes along. If the game is close, that would worry me because talent-wise, they have a ton of holes on their team. Not to mention, in critical moments, they just don't make the smart plays. So in knowing that and in saying that, we have to start fast. And really it starts up front for us on both sides. Like if those guys up front come out the right way, the rest of our team follows. O-line and D-line come out firing off the ball. We're creating run lanes. We're creating penetration on the defensive side. Then I think we play fast and we get out to an early lead, which I think is imperative because Georgia, watching that game, Georgia probably should have lost that game, but Kentucky's bad enough where they had multiple turnovers, like penalties, things that hurt them that had the game get worse as the game went on. But we have to start fast because Kentucky's not a good football team. But if you give them hope and let them hang around, you never know.
Yep. My biggest key is you got to get after the quarterback. They're starting redshirt freshman Cutter Bully.
Yes.
And
okay.
Yeah, so he's going to be the starter. And in his 3-ish games that he's started, he's taken a total of 9 sacks, 6 of them versus South Carolina and 2 versus Georgia. This is not a great offensive line for Kentucky, but obviously they're recruiting, competent players. This is not Sam Houston or anything like that. We've seen Colin Simmons really get going these past few weeks, and he's been, really, really amping it up. And I think this is a game for him to make his mark there by getting a sack, maybe a forced fumble or some
fumble.
Things of that nature. Ethan Burke could have a nice day. Lance Jackson. This would be a really good day for those guys to get going. So I think pass rush is for sure something in this game that has to get going. They have a decent running back here, McGowan. Seth McGowan, 79 carries for 431 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's pretty talented, 5.5 yards a carry, so you got to slow him down. They also have Dowell as well, who's averaging 4.4 yards a carry. So slowing those guys down. I'm more thinking this is going to be, more on the Texas defense, more so than the Texas offense. I think the goal should be to get 20 points. Yeah, I mean, obviously I want the Texas offense to score 50 on these guys. But if I'm picking a side that you need to step up and play at a high level, it's the defense. I mean, this is a Kentucky offense that is not very good. On the year, they're, 81st in points per game?
Yep.
So if the defense can hold this team to less than 20, I think the Texas will at least get 20. I mean, when you look at their numbers this year, you take out the Toledo game, you take out the Eastern Michigan game, they've scored 23, 13, and 14 versus SEC teams. So against SEC teams, they can't score, and Texas is one of the best defenses out there. So if I'm Texas, get after the quarterback, make the young guy feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because the second you make him feel uncomfortable, that's when the turnovers come in. And then once you get the turnovers, that leads to easy points for the offense. So I think the defense needs to step up. What are you thinking here with Arch Manning in this game? Obviously, Kentucky's not a great defense, but what are you thinking Arch needs to do in this game to pull out the win here?
The same thing he did last week. Just make the what people don't understand about young quarterbacks. Scouting 101 right here, okay? If I'm a coach, I'm a scout, this is how I should see Arch play. Early in the game, it should be a control game. He throws quick game. He throws he like, which Arch loves comebacks and outs outside the numbers, right? Then as the game goes along and you're running the football, then you dial some play action. Don't take those deep shots where they're like 70-30 balls where, he has to put it in the exact spot. No. You run crossing routes where he has grass and space to throw to and still can get a guy catching on the run. Then when he needs to be a 5-star athlete, that's what he is. That's when we see him buy time, feel pressure, escape, throw a sidearm across his body. Everything they tell you not to do as a quarterback, he's able to do at a high level because that's what God gave him. So I want to see that. I want to see a control game, 30 passes or less is the sweet spot to me as well. I don't want to see him throwing more than that. I think last week was what, 26, maybe 26, 27,
something like that.
Like that's the sweet spot for this offense this year. It's keeping all of that in control. So for Arch, I just need to see him manage the game at a high level.
Yeah, for Arch, I want to see him have a similar game to what Gunnar Stockton had versus Kentucky, because Gunnar Stockton had 23 passing attempts for about 200 yards, and he ran the ball 6 times for 48 yards. That's all I need from Arch. Don't turn the ball over. Give me a passing touchdown. Run the football when you need to. We didn't really see Arch really use his legs a ton versus OU, just a couple carries, especially late to kind of ice the game. I think he had, I want to say 4 carries against OU.
Yeah.
So in this game versus Kentucky, I think he could have 5 or 6 carries that maybe one gets you a touchdown, thing of that nature. In past games, I would have said that we need to get Arch's legs more involved, but I think now that Arch is starting to process the field better, I think he's starting to get better there. So if this passing game struggles, then yes, get back to running the football with Arch. But I don't think Arch has to have a crazy running day. I think give me 19 of 24 for 200 yards, a touchdown, no picks, and run the ball 5 times for 25 yards and another touchdown. And then Trey Wisner has his day. You do that.
Fair.
I can't see Kentucky winning.
I don't like, to me, that's what his stat line should look like most games.
Yep.
It should be 1 to 2 touchdown passes, maybe 1 passing, 1 rushing. But you have to just keep him kind of boxed in. And then when it's time to let him loose, he kind of knows and feels when he has to make a play better than he did in the past or earlier this season, where I felt like at times he was trying to make the perfect throw. I mean, everything felt like it was just trying to be perfect, and that's why he missed so many throws. So again, to your point, but see, I'm always a component of using the quarterback, especially when he's a good runner, and especially in critical down situations, 3rd down, red zone. I think we should use his legs more, just because he's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wouldn't mind, on some 3rd and 7s, him taking off, scrambling and getting what he needs to get, or just having a design run, because I think unlocking his legs is the key to opening up this offense, honestly. Yeah.
And the best way to support a young quarterback is to run the football. Trey Wisner had a big game last week. Yep. We don't know what the injury report looks like. We're filming this, obviously, live is here on Tuesday. Tomorrow should be the injury report. So if Baxter plays, that'd be nice, but I'm not sure we need him to rush back. If we can get him back next week, that'd be nice. If he's ready to go, then cool, let's get him out there. But hamstring injuries are always tricky. So I'd be okay if it was Wisner and Simon going in this one. But we also saw Wisner kind of, hurting last week. So we'll see how that all looks like with the running backs. And, they need to have a good game.
I wouldn't mind seeing CJ on a limited snap count, just to get his body going, because what I don't want is the first game to be Georgia.
Yeah.
Where he's trying to fill it out. Like, that's not the time to fill it out. And really, it's really not the time to fill it out versus Vandy, but you might can get away with it. Maybe. Yeah, but that's a good football team who know how to play football and get you like they're fundamentally sound. So I wouldn't want that for him either. Like, I would love for him to come back this week, play 15, 20 snaps, whatever they deem, get him a couple handoffs on some, 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8, just to see how he feels. Feels good. He sits, goes back into rehab, and then you up his snap count. So by the time we get to Georgia, he might be playing 30, 40 snaps, opposed to just saying, go play 25 right now, and we don't know.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Yeah, I 100% agree there. In terms of the defense, I think, we talked about the pass rush. I think the main objective is just to continue to play your brand of football, force turnovers. This is a Kentucky team that they will give you chances. They have thrown picks. Boley has 3 picks through 3 games. He's been sacked 9 times. Exactly. If you get your hands on the ball, I mean, Kentucky will give you chances, right? So if you're Texas, you got to take advantage of it. that was one of the frustrating things about the Florida game was there was chances to make plays against
Yes,
Florida. You know,
absolutely.
the very first play there was that fumble that you could have
That
got.
fumble. Yep.
And if you get that fumble, the whole game changes. Texas probably wins that game if you get that early momentum. But so
Absolutely.
in this game, it's all about taking advantage of the situations, especially on the defensive side, that are granted to you. When you got a guy in the backfield for a tackle for loss, make the tackle.
Got to get him
You
down.
got to sack. You got to sack him. Don't let this young quarterback who, can play. He's a young quarterback. He can play a little bit. He's not great, but he can go. You don't want to get him any sort of confidence, and you got to expect Kentucky's going to be a loud building because everyone wakes up for Texas. It's going to happen this week. They're all going to be ready to go.
Definitely going to be loud. It's to your point, we can't give them confidence.
Nope.
By allowing them to break tackles, make plays. Like, you don't do that to teams that you should beat. That's what we did to Florida. We just gave them confidence. Like, granted, Florida is much more talented, but they weren't playing like it. Then they play us, and we miss some opportunities. We miss tackles. Like we do everything we possibly could wrong, and we saw the result. And we still almost came back and tied. Like, you know what I mean? So we can't give teams we should beat that opportunity, not one bit, because if you give them a little bit of hope, they'll take it.
Yeah. Some final notes from me on this one. Kentucky, Mark Stoops, Texas has gone against him, or more specifically, Sarkisian has gone against him multiple times. I believe they coached on the same team at some point. So those guys, or I think so, something along those lines. They got a lot of experience. They know each other. This is a very the Stoops defense, I believe, will be quite similar to what we saw in Oklahoma. So for Arch, you can expect some similar looks. And Kentucky's not as talented as what they have been in years past. Even the Kentucky team that Texas faced last year, they weren't great. I think Texas, I beat them pretty well. They had some guys go in the draft, Maxwell Hairston, Deion Walker, et cetera, et cetera. This Kentucky team, yes, they'll have a couple guys get drafted, but I don't know if they have a first round guy on the roster like Texas has multiple. So this is a game where if you wake up and you give 80% of what you are in this game, you should beat Kentucky by double digits. If you don't wake up and you snooze through it, this might be a game that goes deep into the fourth quarter, which is exactly what you don't want if you're a Texas Longhorns fan. So that's my final thoughts. Any final thoughts on the Kentucky game?
I want to say is handle adversity on the road and win on the road. Honestly, that's it. We lost to Ohio State, we lost to Florida on the road. Like,
true.
We need to beat a SEC opponent and, again, build confidence within this team, within this program. Like, we know they're talented, but learning how to win is a process. A lot of these guys weren't major contributors last year. So they got to see the product and be parts of it in certain places. But as a total, as a whole piece, a lot of those guys weren't major pieces. So now that they need to learn how to win games. Yeah.
And, final thing I'll add on to your point, 7 of Arch's 10 sacks have been in the Florida and Ohio State game, both away games. 3 of Arch's 5 interceptions came in those 2 away games. So in the 2 away games, that's when the turnovers happen. I'm sure you can probably add up the penalties too.
Yep.
So if you're Texas versus in this probably gonna be rowdy environment, it's Kentucky, but if they're going against Texas, there's gonna be a full out crowd. Be ready to go, or else you might end up regretting it. All right, guys, let us know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the Kentucky game?